What's up, everybody? Welcome into Chicago Bears Now. My name is Harrison Graham. We are live, just like we are every single Tuesday, 4 Eastern, 3 Central Time. If you want to join us in the future, see a lot of people hanging out in the chat. Appreciate you guys being here. The Bears actually don't have a practice today. They're traveling to Indianapolis to get ready for joint practices against the Colts, and then, of course, preseason game number 2 this Saturday. All of which we will have coverage for here on this channel. Shout out your city. Let us know where you guys are watching from. As Joshua says, hey, you, Harrison Graham. What's up, Joshua? We got Antonio Brown in Oceanside, California. Is that the AB? We got Ryan Poles in Hawaii. I think you're making a reference for Poles being out there. I will say this. Anyone out in Hawaii, our thoughts are with you. We know it's been a wild time, so hang in there if anyone's out there. We got Wasim in Irvine, California. Steven in Dublin, Ireland. Chirac is in Panama. We got, Julio in Orlando. Richie Rich, Sunnyside, Chicago. Notorious in Mayfair. Greetings. What's up, Liz? Another Josh in Clinton, Illinois. Kyle Smith in Salt Lake City. I'm not on the file and on fire, luckily. Okay, good. Good to hear. Cardi Fuque, what's up, Nick? We got Winds Beyond in Minneapolis, North Iowa from Cody. Boston is where John is watching from. St. Louis is where Ben is hanging out. So appreciate all the people letting us know where they're tuning in from. Rolly is back in the building. Welcome back, producer Rolly. Before we read Sam's super chat, any good nuggets from your trip? I know you witnessed a hole-in-one while playing some golf.
So I'm a big-time golfer, and on my week when I was back on vacation, I got in Saturday, right? And then the next morning, Sunday, I go golfing at a course in my hometown. I'm playing with some cousins, feeling nice. And my boy hits a hole-in-one from 175 yards. I don't know if you guys are golfers or not.
That's a long par 3, too.
That
long-ish.
was maybe the most electric thing I have ever witnessed. Obviously, it would be more fun if I got the hole-in-one, but seeing the reaction of someone else and actually just witnessing one in person anyway, that's the first time I've ever seen it. It was pretty sick.
Did y'all run up there? Did he run up there?
No. So this guy's a really good golfer. He actually shot 2 over on 18.
Oh, wow.
And that was his second ever hole-in-one.
Oh, okay.
So he already had one.
He's like, I don't care. That's sick, man. Didn't you almost have one?
And then, literally 2 days ago on Sunday, I flew home 6 p.m. on Sunday. I teed off at 8 in the morning.
Sneak in one more.
I came up about this much short. It was about 1.5 feet.
Wow.
Dead center in front of the hole. That was a 165-yard.
Is that one of those off the club where you're like, this has a chance?
So I never really did because I had a nice little draw in there. So it started about 10 yards right of the green, and then it was drawn, or the pin, I should say, and it was drawn in. And I was just like, I never really thought it had a chance until I saw it start coming down, and I'm like, yo, this is actually right at the pin. Came up just short, unfortunately.
Wow.
But good to be back.
Glad you're back. I was going to say.
I missed the Yannick Ngakoue stream. Mercedes Lewis gets signed. Obviously, the first preseason.
DJ Moore, 62-yard touchdown.
It's good to be back with Bears Nation. Thanks for showing me love in the comments section. I love y'all too.
Yeah, Rolly's back, and he'll be in the fold for Saturday's preseason.
Pumped for Saturday's game against the Colts.
Yeah, let's get it. All right, well, you know how we kick things off here. This has become tradition. Sam Luchtaro with the hypothetical of the week. Appreciate the super chat, Sam. He says, would you rather see your favorite sports team win a championship this year guaranteed or watch them be mediocre for the next 9 years, followed by 3 championships in a row guaranteed?
You know, this is a great question. And
I have a hot take here.
I have an answer, and I think we're going to agree.
You go first.
I actually will take the championship this season.
Agreed.
And the reason why I say that, nothing is promised.
Yeah.
I'll take my championship now and say some crazy shit happens in the next 3 or 4 years. I at least saw a championship recent.
Now, he is saying you were guaranteed to get 3, but you'll have to wait a decade.
Yeah.
So the reason I would take the title now is, 1, we'd have a hell of a season here on Bears.
Yeah.
That's true. Number 1. And 2, I think, don't get me wrong, if a genie could come to me and be like, hey, TCU football will win 3 national championships starting a decade from now. Yeah, I'd probably take it, but I think some of like the fun part of being a sports fan is not knowing what's going to happen. So give me the title this year, and then who knows after that? Maybe you still win a couple titles. Maybe you don't, but like I do think after a while it would get bored if you went into a season knowing exactly what was going to happen.
Yeah, I will say if you did know you were getting 3 straight championships, obviously it would be fun to gloat and you could make some money off the betting side of it.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't. The joy of a sports fan is not being able to know what's going to happen on a day in, day out basis.
And I think that's the beauty of the NFL, especially, is like every team, for the most part, going into every year feels like they have a shot to at least compete. So that's what I would say, Sam. Great hypothetical this week, and I'm sure you'll be back with more. Tito with the 10. I'll say it again. Lewis needs to start. Talking about Terrell Lewis. Yeah, Rolly, strip sack, had another sack. He looked good. His get off and bend is insane. Double-digit sacks. Mark my words. Also, where's the top 5 O-lineman in the draft next year? Because we need one. Well, that dude from Penn State, Rolly, what's his name? It's like Olu. Yeah. He's like the best tackle, at least going into the season. I'm sure more will emerge. There's that guard from Kansas State that's really good, too. Is it Beebe? Connor Beebe or something like that? But there's always dudes that emerge. But appreciate the super. Back to Sam. He said, just woke up from the worst dream imaginable. It was awful, Rolly. Some imposter named Chip tried replacing you and was losing beer chugs to Harrison. I'm just glad the nightmare's finally over. I housed Chip twice in a row on chugs. And you know me, I'm not the fastest chugger.
When did Chippy fill in on the Saturday game?
Last Tuesday.
Chipper produced it last week.
Hey, he did well.
The fuck is this?
Now the beer chugs, you know. He won the third one, but I'd already won the series.
Yeah,
so.
You know, Sam, I'm not the fastest drinker in the office, but I would consider myself
You're top,
on the upper tier.
Half at least.
So it's good to be back, Sam. Glad that nightmare is over.
I will say I did have a good day chugging. Like you know how you take one out, you're like, man, that was a good one. Like I had a couple of those, so that's always fun. And we don't have a super chat menu today, but things get rowdy. Maybe Rolly and I will have a little race. You never know. Willie says, hey, Harrison, since Justin Fields has 3 good receivers, 3 running backs, 3 tight ends, how will he get the ball to everybody? Well, that's the million-dollar question, right? Like, not everybody is going to have monster seasons, but it's a good thing because you have multiple guys that can win their matchups. DJ Moore is obviously going to get a lot of balls. He's also going to draw a lot of double teams. Darnell Mooney taking advantage. Chase Claypool, maybe a little Tyler Scott. I do think the running backs are going to mix and match and be a little bit of a rotation there. As far as tight end goes, like if Mercedes Lewis catches more than like 7 balls this year, that's probably a bad thing. Like he's here to block.
He'll have 8 catches on the year and for like 3 touchdowns.
8 catches, 46 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Yeah. He's here to block. So yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the season, we'll probably look up and be like, yeah, this guy probably wasn't as big of an impact as we thought, but that's much better than last year, right? When you're like, who the hell are you going to throw to? This year, you almost have too many dudes, it feels like. But the point is, you can never have too many weapons. Captain Salty says RB1 leads the league in picks, forcing passes to number 2. What do you mean by picks? A little confused here by what he means by this. Do you mean that? Do you mean QB1? Like Justin Fields? The R is not really close to the Q on the. Are you saying
that's got to be the only explanation here?
Are you saying Fields is going to target DJ Moore so much that he's going to?
That's kind of the way I'm reading it.
That's the only thing that makes sense.
Maybe he's dissing Justin Fields, calling him the RB1.
Maybe.
That's kind of what I'm gathering.
Okay. All right. Look, like, yeah, you don't want to over force feed someone, but it's also nice to be like, all right, when in doubt, I'm just going to give DJ Moore a chance. So, yeah, like, obviously, if it's double coverage and he's not in a good spot, like, yeah, don't force it all the time. But, yeah, hopefully he doesn't lead the league in interceptions. Oh, Geezer, then we got a big one coming in from Brian. He says, these kids are competitive, having fun out here, bringing it on. Bring it on, Green Bay. We'll rename Soldier Field to House of Pancake. Well, I don't know about the name getting changed, but I do think this team's scrappy as hell. Like, that was my main takeaway from the preseason opener is that these guys play hard as hell. Like, Kyler Gordon, the first play of the game, absolutely rocked that dude for Tennessee. Like, that was a week 7 type of hit, Rolly. That I know you came back, you're like, yeah, I didn't get to watch the whole game, but Kyler Gordon was popping some dudes.
I was able to watch the first quarter of the preseason game, so I watched a couple field study passes, and then I saw, obviously, unfortunately, them drive down the field on the Bears defense to start off the game as well. That wasn't very ideal, but yeah, that was a big hit. And this reminded me of something. Brought up Green Bay, who the Bears obviously play week 1.
Yep.
There is 2 free bets I can give you for week 1. 2 money lines. Very simple. Parlay it, and you will win big-time cash. Bears money line against the Packers. Falcons money line against the Panthers.
I'll add a third one.
Lock it in.
I'll add a third one. Steelers are beating the Niners. The Niners always start slow.
I can't guarantee that. That's a little bit of the more
It's
shady
in Pittsburgh,
side.
cross-country flight. The Niners are a mess at quarterback. They don't have a kicker.
Yeah.
Steelers are winning.
I am just willing to put my stamp of guarantee that the Bears and Falcons win week 1. I can guarantee
that. Would be great for us because the Bears have the Panthers pick. Brian with the 50. Let's go, Brian. He says, okay, I've been hard on Nate Davis, so nice to see him back in practice. That said, I'm high on Ja'Tyre Carter, as I prefer to go with youth. Time to drink, gents. Sorry, Rolly. Every drive I have is close to a hole in one. Yeah, you know what? I'll make a deal. $50 super chats. We'll knock out a beer bong, so I'll take the first one. If more 50s come in, we'll have some fun here. So we'll throw up the next question here, Brian, and then Rolly can go grab me the Merbonga and just go get me a Happy Dad, Rolly. I'll knock that one out for Brian. $50. We'll do a beer bong, and we'll still honor $20 super chats as Justin Fields boot stickers, which is almost full, which means we'll be auctioning it off very, very soon. Who's excited for Bears-Colts joint practices? Type me if you are. Type me in the chat. Donald says me. Wasim says me. Who's excited? Who's excited? Jason says me. Christian says me. Heidi says me. Oh, Don Burr's in the chat. Timothy, we'll get to your super chat in a minute. Brian says me. We got Robert saying me. Monty saying me. Vincy B says me. Cody says me. CB Sports TV. We got DeWitty Wombat. Chris Green. Mike Ipson. Tyler in the chat. Jeremiah says me. Roger. Jaron Thomas. Joshua. Roger. Tyler. Let's see. Donnie Boy is back. I know. Anthony says me. I'm excited because, you know, obviously we got to watch a preseason game, but this will be an extended stretch for the high-level players, starters, to go up against a different team. That'll be fun to analyze, and we'll have. It's all good. We'll have post-practice recaps the next 2 nights as well. So be on the lookout for that after the next 2 joint practices. So full disclosure, this Happy Dad is it's cold. So I'm going to let it sit for just a moment here, Brian, but shout out to you. We'll do a couple more here. Timothy Smith, if we end up with a top 5 pick from Carolina and Marvin Harrison is available, do we get him? I mean, it obviously depends on how this year goes, right? Like if DJ Moore, Darnell Mooney, and Claypool are all good and they want to bring both Claypool and Mooney back, then you probably don't need Marvin Harrison. I think if Carolina's pick is top 5, trading down is probably another possibility for a second straight year. So I think it all depends on how the year plays out. Do you need an offensive lineman? Do you need a pass rusher? I think we got to see at least a few games come and go before we start getting too hypothetical on who the Bears should draft. Like this video if you love the Bears. Let's get to 150 likes here. Come on. At least. We got 400 people watching.
You know, I like to call you guys out sometimes, but the fact that we only have 60 likes and 400 people watching is flat out. Wow, jeez. I think I've been in New York too long where my accent's coming back a little bit, Harrison. That's just flat out unacceptable right there. We're not starting the show until we get the 150 likes.
Yeah, smash the like button. Tickle it for us. Let's go. Hit the like button. R2 Row has hit the like button. We're at 91 likes. Let's get to 150. Keep liking it. In the meantime, we'll flash this next super chat. It's Easy RQ says, show the schedule and do quick prediction based off of our roster. We will. I think we'll do one more win-loss record prediction video before week 1, but we're not going to do that today. We've got other stuff to get to, but we will definitely hit that before week 1. Jeremiah's liked it as well. Keep liking the video. Got to get to 150 likes to get to our first segment. A couple super chats coming in. Tedros A, how are you going to feel if Anthony Richardson dices up the defense the whole first quarter? Yannick and Tremaine playing. I don't know about Yannick and Tremaine. Ngakoue might just keep him out. Like, to me, you don't need to play Ngakoue in the preseason if you don't want to. But he's been ramping up, so maybe he'll play a series or something like that. Edmunds has been sidelined, so it'd be nice to get him out there in the joint practices and play Saturday, but he has not practiced in almost 2 weeks now, so they're going to be cautious there because they want him ready for week 1. Let's see how the practices go. If they get shredded by Richardson, yeah, that would not be ideal, but I expect it to be competitive. He'll make some plays. The defense will make some plays, vice versa. Bears offense versus defense. Hopefully the Bears perform better. Keem 78, 20 likes away from 150. Got to get there. Hot take number 9. He's been bringing a couple every week. Shady McCoy, eat crow, and give Justin Fields props. Yeah, I can't wait for Fields to ball out this year and for Shady McCoy to just eat his dust. He continues to be a fraud, by the way, Rolly. Did you see what he did recently? He went to Cowboys training camp and didn't even stay for one play of the practice and went on his show. And he also said Tony Pollard looked good. He did not practice that day. I mean, that is the ultimate fraud alert right there.
Shady sucks.
I don't even think he watches games. I don't think he was watching games last year. So Shady McCoy's on my shit list. That's all I know. Like the video, we're at 137. Once we cross 150, we can get into today's show. We can tease what's happening on today's show, but we're not going to dive in until we get to 150 likes. 430 people watching, 137 likes. That ratio's got to get up. Bears Rumors Roundup. We got some stories to dive into, including an interesting trade idea. Live Q&A, hashtag Bears or Super Chat to get your questions on the show. And then we got a Bears-Colts joint practices preview. They're going to be in Indianapolis the next couple of days going up against one another. Then, of course, they'll play on Saturday. So all of that's on the show. 3 likes away from 150. Come on, let's go. And after the first segment, I will do this beer bong for Brian. Just got to get this beer a little less frigid, if you will. There we go. 150 likes, $50 supers today. We'll do some beer bongs. Lots to come on the show. Let's dive into it. Today's episode of Chicago Bears Now is sponsored by Hexclad. Improve your kitchenware with Hexclad, as they got the best pots and pans out there by going to hexclad.com. Use promo code CHAT. That's going to get you 10% off at checkout. My name is Harrison Graham, and Smokin' Jays are back. You guys have been asking for them. So we got a Rumors Roundup episode for you guys here on a Tuesday. Let's go ahead and dive on in. The first rumor on our Smokin' Jay Rumors Roundup, D'Onta Foreman. Could the Bears trade him? I'll go one Smokin' Jay. I'll admit I'm intrigued by this idea, and this one's coming in from Bleacher Report. They dropped an article this morning about one player all 32 NFL teams should put on the trade block before week 1. They named D'Onta Foreman as the Bears candidate, and I think the reason they did that was because Chicago's running back room is crowded. So I'll give it one Smokin' Jay. I think there's a small shred of truth. I could see a scenario where this is a possibility. It's actually pretty interesting when you think about it because this running back room is solid. You've got Khalil Herbert, who took that 50-plus yard screen play to the house. We know how good of a runner he is in the system. If he's improved enough as a pass catcher and blocker, then you feel good about him as your starter. You got Roschon Johnson, who's been trending up. We're going to talk about him a little bit more later on in the show. I think both Trestan Ebner and Travis Homer have had good camps, so theoretically you could trade Foreman for a late-round pick. if a RB needy team comes calling, and roll with Herbert, Roschon, and one or both of Ebner and Homer with Blasingame. So I don't think that's going to happen, but I do think it's an interesting idea here. Now, more to discuss on this topic in a moment, but you put your GM cap on. Would you trade Deontay Foreman? Like, say a 6th-round pick is available for you. You're not going to get a premium pick. Like, you sign him for $3 million. He hasn't even played a game for you. But 6th-round pick for Foreman, type T for trade or K for keep. Let me know what you guys think on this one. Here's Matt Holder from Bleacher Report who wrote this article. He said the 27-year-old is coming off a career season in which he had over 900 rushing yards and 5 touchdowns in 17 games and in 9 starts for Carolina, which should give him some trade value for his new club, the Chicago Bears. Sure, Chicago just signed the journeyman in the offseason, but that was before it took Roschon Johnson in the 4th round of the NFL draft. Again, I don't think it happens, but it's not the craziest scenario I've ever heard in my entire life, because I've had the thought recently as we look back at the depth chart, like, if your 1, 2, 3 punch is Herbert, Foreman, and Roschon in whatever order, chances are one of those 3 guys falls out of favor, right? Like, we don't see a lot of scenarios where teams give equal carries to 3 guys. You see a lot of 1-2 punches and it's definitely a lot of running back by committee teams, but that's usually not 3 guys getting 8 to 10 carries or something like that. It's usually like what we saw last year in Chicago. David Montgomery's going to get, 10 to 15. Khalil Herbert's going to get 8 to 12. And then, maybe Ebner would check in every once in a while and get a touch. That's kind of what it was. I can't think of a single team in the NFL outside of maybe like the Dolphins sometimes that they go 3 or 4 deep. And the reason they did that last year is because they never found their lead guy. Like, I think Herbert can be close to that. And if not, you've got Foreman who did it last year for Carolina, especially after they traded Christian McCaffrey, and did it really well with 4.5 yards per carry and 5 touchdowns. So it's an interesting thought. I wouldn't completely dismiss the idea, especially if Roschon keeps trending in the right direction. But I think for now, they would likely keep him on this roster. I'll tell you what, though, if the Bears make a trade, whether they trade away a player or trade for a player, we're going to be going live on this channel because that's what we do. We bring you guys the latest Bears news, rumors, injury updates, game previews, watch parties, post-game shows, and certainly when big news drops like a trade or when they sign Yannick Ngakoue and we went live, that's our plan. We go live and interact with all of you and break down the story. So subscribe to the channel. We're closing in on 69,000 subscribers. Very nice. We would greatly, greatly appreciate it. Roschon Johnson, let's stick at the running back position. Is he trending up? Yeah, there's no doubt here. Bear down for Smokin' Jays. Roschon is definitely trending in the right direction for the Chicago Bears. I really like where he's at this point in his rookie training camp. He missed a little bit of time early on in camp, but I think things are heading in the very right direction. Now, before we talk more about Roschon Johnson, it's time to talk about your kitchen. And no, I'm not talking about your roommate's dishes in the sink. Today's sponsor, HexClad, has revolutionized the cookware industry with a hybrid pan that gives you all of the convenience and cleanup of nonstick, the versatility of your grandma's cast iron, and a lifetime warranty just in case you find a way to destroy them. All you got to do is use promo code CHAT at hexclad.com/chat to get 10% off. HexClad truly checks every single box when it comes to picking your cookware. They are metal utensil safe, dishwasher safe, and oven safe up to 500 degrees. And guys, don't just take my word for it. Celebrity chef Gordon Ramsay has signed off on HexClad. Don't believe me? This is a direct quote from Ramsay. He says, "The sear I get with these pans is incredible with absolutely no stick. The temperature control is utter perfection, and the cleanup is effortless. I love using HexClad at home." They're the sexiest pans on the market, too. Like, not only do they deliver in terms of the product, they feel good. They're solid. Like we said, you can throw them in the washing machine, no problem. Real cuisine is not made in the microwave. Don't order food and waste money. Get HexClad and start cooking high-quality meals for a limited time only. Get 10% off at hexclad.com with promo code CHAT. It's hexclad.com, promo code CHAT. Look how solid this thing is, man. I mean, this is just a thing of beauty. It looks great as well. Go check them out, HexClad. That link is in the comments and in the description. Let's talk about Roschon Johnson. HexClad trending up, so is Roschon. The Bears rookie running back, I thought he looked good. against the Tennessee Titans in the preseason opener. And he followed that up by getting some starting reps on Monday at practice. Now, you'll look at this and say, oh, the average 3.7, long of 24, so what did he do on the other 11 carries? I think it's a bit deceiving. Number one, on that long 24-yard run, he broke, I think, 3 tackles on that play, which is a big plus in his evaluation coming out of Texas. And two, I'll also add that he was getting all the carries late in the game when the Bears were trying to run the clock out. When Tennessee was getting the ball, they were selling out on the run. So I thought he looked good on his touches, and I think he can play right now. Like, he could be in the rotation. I'm not saying he's ready to start and be the lead back right now, although I do think he could get there. But circling back to the first story to kind of tie it in here, if the Bears, in a scenario, wanted to move on from D'Onta Foreman, if a team came calling and say, hey, we'll give you 5th, 6th round pick, whatever, you could take that under consideration because I think Roschon can play right now. He's a much better blocker than Khalil Herbert. So on third downs, he could be your third down back, and you could give him some series as well. And then Trestan Ebner or Travis Homer, I feel comfortable enough with each of those guys. If you wanted to keep them as your third, one of them as your third back, play special teams, which is where they really excel, you could roll with that. I'm not actively trying to move D'Onta Foreman. I'm just saying if you wanted to, I think Roschon is ready for an RB2 role. Is he ready for that? Do you think? What do you guys think? I've said my piece. I think he is. Be honest with me, though. Type Y for yes, or you can type in for no. Okay, let's stay on the offensive side here for today's show. Darnell Wright, is he ready for prime time? I think so. 3 smoking Jays. I like what I saw from Darnell Wright in the preseason opener. This one coming straight from me. Up and down training camp according to reports, but, once the pads go on against an opponent, I think we saw the skill set on display, right? The physicality, the athleticism. He blocked 2 dudes on one toss play that opened up for a 12-yard burst for Khalil Herbert, where he kind of shouldered into one guy, took him out of play, then got his hands on another guy. You really saw him on the move, which is something he can really, really do. And I think he's ready to get more work, not only in practice this week against the Colts, but hopefully we see more snaps in the preseason game. He impressed me. He really, really impressed me. I wasn't worried based on what we were hearing out of camp, but I was like, okay, maybe he'll have some rookie lumps, and I still think he will. But you saw the athleticism and power and why the Bears drafted him in this game. And by the way, PFF, I think, is a good source to use just to get other set of eyes on things, but it's not gospel. It's very subjective. I disagree with these grades, with his overall at 63, his pass blocking 74.5. That's probably fine, well above average. He didn't allow a single pressure. He was mauling on a couple of different plays in the run game. I disagree with that. Now, it's only 7 snaps, so what do you really take those grades for? It's hard to say, but there wasn't a single play he was out there where a play didn't work because of him. Like that, he did his job more than good enough, and in some cases, like that run play for Herbert, at an excellent, excellent level. I feel comfortable with him at right tackle. Doesn't mean he's not going to get beat sometimes and going to have his rookie moments. He certainly will, but he's a tactician. He's got different moves he can throw at edge rushers who are going to throw him different stuff. And I'm excited this week against the Colts. A guy like DeForest Buckner, does he get to go up against him in some one-on-ones or in some team drills? So should be a good opportunity for him, but I think just like Roschon, the fellow rookie Darnell Wright is trending in the right direction. Now, how confident are you in Darnell Wright at right tackle? Scale of 1 to 10. I'll put it at 7.5 right now. Like, I don't think he's going to go out there and be an all-pro right away, but feel good about him. I think he's going to at least have an adequate season. Scale it from 1 to 10, 10 being he's, a borderline all-pro. All right, guys, that's going to do it for our Bears Rumors Roundups. The Smokin' Jays are back. We'll continue to work those in to our shows. Subscribe for more coverage here on Chicago Bears Now. Brian back for more. Shout out to Brian with the $20 super chat. He says, why would we keep Velus Jones on the roster? I understand you don't want to give up on a third-round pick, but I cannot see anyone being comfortable with him returning punts. Does he make the final 53? So, Brian, I actually put out an updated 53-man roster projection video this morning. So after this live show, you and whoever else should go check that out. I will tease this. I did have Velus on it, but he's definitely trending down. There's no doubt about it. I'm with you. I can't trust him as a punt returner, but I still think there's an argument to be made that he has enough value as an elite kick returner, which he is, and as a gadget guy on offense, but that's not what you drafted for in the third round. You wanted him to be one of the best punt and kick returners in the league. Well, he can't be trusted on punts, and we thought he'd be a little bit more advanced, at least in my opinion, at receiver. Never thought he'd be great there, but a little more than what he is. You drafted Tyler Scott for a reason. So, yeah, it's definitely arrow down for Velus, but I still have him on the 53 for now. Brian with another one here. Brian's he's the MVP today. Oh, this is the old one. Okay. Yeah, we're going back to this. That's right, because I got to do my beer chug here. How about this? Chant Brian in the chat. Shout out to Brian. And
Brian in the chat. I'll give some shout outs.
By the way, I should have given you a heads up. Grape is my least favorite flavor of any flavored drink. So,
it's on me.
So, no, you know what? I didn't give you a heads up. And someone told me that even though it's grape, it tastes good. So we're going to give it a fair shake here.
I'm not a fan of the grape ones, to be honest. But you learn something new every day, and now I know that Harrison does not like grape flavors.
Hey, that's something we have in common.
There we go.
We both like golf. I just happen to be a lot better at it. That was your chance to rip me.
No, I'll stay pleasant.
Rolly is a much better golfer than I am. I try. I have a few good shots around, but it's a work in progress.
Harrison can hit the ball, though. No slouch.
Look, it's in college. I was shooting high 80s. Okay. I just haven't gotten back to that level in a while. So, hey, we'll start playing on Fridays in the
Absolutely.
falls.
That is maybe the best part about our
show. And here's the thing. Like, obviously, I have a son now, so it's harder to get out there. But he goes to daycare. So I'll take him to daycare, then we'll hit the course. We'll be good to go.
For that. But keep on spamming Brian in the chat. I'll give some shout-outs while Harrison chugs. We got Chris Aldridge spamming Brian. We got Donald Lear. We got another Josh. We got Wasim Khan. We got Ryan Poles. Keem with a super chat. We got Jay Nev.
That wasn't bad.
How's that?
That wasn't as bad as like a grape Gatorade. Grape Gatorade is undrinkable.
Okay.
Undrinkable.
Undrinkable is a strong word.
I mean, I say that like if I just finished a workout and it was that or nothing, like I'm taking it. Yeah. But you know what I'm saying. Keem, I agree with Brian. The risk versus reward isn't worth it for Velus. He's 26 now, but I hear your point. Yeah, look, chances are here, guys, even if Velus sticks around and does some things, probably never going to live up to being a third-round pick. Polls projected a bit there. There's no doubt. He loved the measurables and the speed. That happens sometimes. Mailbag coming up. # Bears or Super Chat to get your question answered. Team Grape in the chat. Hey, listen. It's we're all different.
I love grapes. Like, grapes are one of my favorite fruits.
You are a big grape
guy. I mean, I pound grapes. They're pretty much what I eat for dinner every night.
Are you still in that mode?
You know, I'm getting back to it because this past week, as you can expect in vacation, back with
free meals at home,
home cooking, I ate a little too much this past week.
Hey,
so back to the grind.
Diet doesn't count when you're on vacation.
I agree. Plus, it's also good to get a nice little change of pace. Actually, eat dinner for a change.
Yeah, get some protein and whatnot. # Bears, Super Chat, get your questions on the show, and we'll answer as many as we can here on today's show. Then on the next segment, we are going to get a little preview for you guys for those joint practices. 5 players on offense, 5 players on defense that I'm keeping an eye on in those joint practices, so that should be a whole lot of fun. But # Bears or Super Chat to get your questions on the show. Jaron says, disagree with you. Grape Gatorade is fire. Listen, that's the beauty of life. We don't always have to agree. I'm just not a grape flavor guy, but you are, Jaron. So that's why grape Gatorade exists, so you can buy it. That's just not the Gatorade I'm buying. All right, let's get into this mailbag coming up here on Chicago Bears Now. Bears Now by Chat Sports is sponsored by Hexclad. Looking to upgrade your kitchenware? Well, look no further than Hexclad. I mean, look how nice these pans are. They have pots, the full arsenal. Get 10% off with promo code CHAT at hexclad.com. Diving right into this mailbag video, Miles says, should UDFA quarterback Tyson Bagent make the 53-man roster. I don't think we're there, Miles, in terms of him making the 53, but I do think he's standing out. I think he's had some good practices with limited reps, obviously, mostly working as the fourth quarterback. But when he got in there against Tennessee, he went 4 for 5, 37 yards, rating of almost 100. Thought he made two really nice throws. He had a bootleg to the left where right-handed quarterback rolling to his left. It's not easy to throw that way. And on a little 8 or 9 yard crosser, put it right on the front hip. It was good coverage, threw it to a perfect spot for a completion. And then he threw on a fourth down play where they went for it, just kind of a slot go ball to, I think, Darius Fountain for about a 20-yard completion. Those were good throws. And listen, this guy was setting records at Division II Shepherd. So I think this is one of those guys you would like to keep around and develop. And look, based on the Bears depth chart, Nathan Peterman's been QB3, but to me, I would rather keep Tyson Bagent around than Nathan Peterman. Now, I'm not necessarily saying on the 53-man roster. Let's make that clear. But say you keep Justin Fields and P.J. Walker, Tyson Bagent as your practice squad quarterback. Like, if you're picking one, I'd rather have Bagent than Peterman. Like, I know Peterman's got this value as a veteran voice, this and that. We're in year 3 with Fields, year 2 in this offense. P.J. Walker can help be that guy. You don't need Nathan Peterman. Like, keep Bagent around. Now, if you want to keep 2 quarterbacks in the practice squad, fine. But I think you should always have a young quarterback that you're trying to develop as a non-starter, like in addition to your starter, if that makes sense. And I think Bagent has enough arm talent that he's worthwhile keeping in the building. And hopefully if they cut him, no other team picks him up for the active roster and you can get him back to the practice squad. Which brings me to this question. Maybe you don't think that's even worth the risk. Maybe you would just put him on the 53. Would you put Tyson Bagent on the 53-man roster? Type Y for yes, or type P if you'd rather get him on the practice squad. More questions here. The intern of war. If the Bears have a chance to draft Marvin Harrison and all the receivers were good, do you move on from Claypool or Mooney to save money and get the rookie at a more manageable contract? Yeah, I mean, that's certainly possible, right? Like, the best case scenario is Mooney and Claypool are both awesome, and you for sure extend one and you either tag the other or maybe you tag and trade the other one. If they're both good, I don't think you would just let one walk. I think you would utilize that franchise tag. But, yeah, that's certainly a possibility, right? Like maybe you tag and trade Claypool because Marvin Harrison also has good size. You bring him in and go from there. So, yeah, I definitely think that scenario is at play. Got to see how it plays out. Dustin Reingart, now that training camp is finishing up and we've seen a little bit, 1 + 2 = 6, over under 10.5 wins. I'm banging the over. Well, producer Rolly's in the building. And Rolly, I know you placed a couple of wagers when you were back home in New York. Did you place any Bears wagers?
I did not place any Bears wagers, unfortunately. 10.5 is a lot.
The over-under is 7.5, and I would take the over on
I
that.
could see them definitely getting – I would bang the over on 7.5.
Yes.
I could see them getting 10, but
11
is pretty risky.
That's a little rich for me right now. I'm somewhere between 8 and 10. So I think the over-under 7.5, I would hammer the over, but we'll see. We'll see. I like where this team's trending. From Jason, with the play of Tyree Carter this past weekend, could the Bears look to save money and cut Lucas Patrick? I actually kind of flirted with that idea on the 53-man roster projection video I put out on the channel. Full disclosure, I did have Patrick making it. Go check out that video if you haven't. But I do think that with Carter's emergence, you could opt to cut Lucas Patrick, and maybe then you keep Doug Kramer as a young developmental center behind Cody Whitehair, because cutting Patrick can save a few $1,000,000. So I like what Tyree Carter's doing. Also, Alex Leatherwood has held his own at left guard, so you could keep both of them as your backup guards and then go with Kramer as the backup center if you wanted to. I think this team values Lucas Patrick's versatility and leadership, but he's not going to start. And if you feel good about some other backups, maybe you just save the money. Philip Charles, do you think this rookie class is capable of reaching the success of last year's Jets rookie class? I mean, last year, the Jets had what? Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner? I mean, I don't want to overreact, but there's a scenario where they're both in the Hall of Fame one day. So we got a long way to go to see that, even if the rest of that Jets class does nothing. But Could you get good volume and good production out of 6 to 8 of these guys? I think so. I think that's very much a possibility. But I think we got to see some games come and go first before we make any major declarations like that. All right, guys, let's talk about your kitchen, as today's show is sponsored by Hexclad. They have revolutionized the cookware industry with a hybrid pan that gives you all of the convenience and cleanup of nonstick, the versatility of your grandma's cast iron, and a lifetime warranty just in case you find a way to destroy them, which I doubt you will because these things are rock solid. Promo code chat at hexclad.com/chat is going to get you 10% off at checkout. These pots and pans really check off every single box when you're picking your cookware. They're metal utensil safe, dishwasher safe, oven safe up to 500 degrees. So if you're big on searing your meat, you can crank it on up there and no worries whatsoever. Celebrity chef Gordon Ramsay says this about Hexclad: the sear I can get with these pans is incredible. Absolutely no stick. The temperature control is utter perfection, and the cleanup is effortless. I love using Hexclad at home, and he makes a good point too, right? Like, it's awesome when you cook a good meal, but then like you're full and you don't feel like spending a lot of time cleaning, and then all this residue is stuck to your pans. Not with Hexclad. 10% off, promo code chat at hexclad.com. Score points at home with these pots and pans too, because they're absolutely gorgeous. They're rock solid, and your food's going to taste good, and it's going to look good in the same process. I showed you guys the pan earlier. I mean, this thing is just sick, man. It's just absolutely fantastic. 10% off with code chat at hexclad.com. Go check that link and comments in the description and comments of this video. Game with the super chat. He says, new nickname alert for JF1, Windy City Warrior. I like it. I threw out Ferrari Fields last year, and I got met with mixed results, but, we'll see. We'll see what we can cook up this year with Hexclad. James Harrison, I need help. A friend of mine is convinced that Fields will only ever be a highlight QB. Help me change his mind. He probably watched Colin Cowherd call him a YouTube quarterback. Look, I mean, he's got to be more consistent. There's no doubt. But this is the first year, in my opinion, where you can have a full evaluation. I'm not saying any of the last 2 years. I'm not saying the last 2 years don't count at all. But year one, Matt Nagy, they drafted him and gave him literally, I'm not joking, 0 reps at training camp with the starters. 0. Andy Dalton gets hurt week 2, and you throw him in there, and it's just a disaster. And then year 2, Ryan Poles commits to a full rebuild, which I fully supported, but he did not have adequate pieces around him, and he had to learn a new complex offense. So now, year 2 of the offense, DJ Moore, competent offensive line, more weapons. This is when you get the full evaluation. If we still have major questions after this year, then yeah, it's going to be a different conversation. The Gabo, could the Bears get Nick Bosa next year? I still think the Niners get that deal done. Like, they'd be crazy to not keep him around. Now, I guess they could just let this year play out and then franchise tag him. But even then, like, they're not letting him hit the open market. So I would be shocked. And if you did get him, that means Ryan Poles probably traded both his first-round picks to get him, which might be worth it for Nick Bosa, but I still don't see that happening. Tito with the 10. What's up, Tito? Appreciate it. I'll say it again. Lewis needs to start. He got his get-off at Bend, and Bend is insane. Double-digit sacks. Also, who's the top 5 O-lineman in the draft next year, because we need one? Hard to rip off 5 right now, but there's that tackle for Penn State, Olu Ashanu, whatever his name is. He's a stud. Kansas State has a really good guard. Connor Beebe, I think is his name. Cooper Beebe, it's something like that. There's other guys that will emerge as well, but yeah, I think, offensive line, defensive line, a couple positions that the Bears could be looking at in the draft next year. If you want draft coverage, we'll get to it eventually, but also we have watch parties coming up. We have news, rumors, more videos to come here on this channel, and we're pretty much publishing 2 videos per day, at least 4 or 5 days a week, with a guarantee of at least 1 video per day. That's our promise to you, so hit that subscribe button, turn on your notifications. It's 100% free. What do you have to lose? Brian with the 10. So Roley sent negative vibes regarding the Bears-Packers opener. Has he changed his mind, or is he still thinking it would be hilarious if the Packers win? Roley, you have the floor.
I will stand by saying it would be objectively hilarious if the Bears lost to the Packers.
Boo. Boo.
I am on record saying, though, the Bears are going to shit pump the Packers in Week 1. I just think it would be funny if Aaron Rodgers finally leaves and then Jordan Love wins his first game against the Bears. Listen, I don't want it to happen, but I do think it would be objectively hilarious as someone not actually a Bears fan.
You find it funny, I would be in shambles. Timothy Smith, if we end up with the top 5 pick and Marvin Harrison is available, do we get him? Potentially. I mean, it depends on a lot of things. How do the receivers play this year? Do you re-sign Darnell Mooney and or Chase Claypool? Do you need a clear number 2? Do you just want to go all in at that position and go DJ Moore, Marvin Harrison, and maybe Darnell Mooney in the slot? I mean, yeah, if you have a top 5 pick, he's definitely in the conversation. Tedros, how are you going to feel if Anthony Richardson dices up the defense the whole first quarter? Are Yannick and Tremaine playing? Not sure on the 2 guys if they're going to play on Saturday or not. But, yeah, like, it wouldn't be awesome if Richardson had his way. But it's preseason. Offenses aren't showing a lot. Defenses aren't showing a lot. You know, it's unpredictable. I thought Richardson did some good. He had a really bad pick in the preseason opener, so he's a rookie quarterback. I could see him flashing both ways, but he's going to start this year, so the expectations are high. Richie Rich here. Since when do air yards matter? LMAO, glad to see Fields having playmakers around him. Doesn't have to do everything himself. Hot take, JF1, most improved player of 2023. Let me just, and you know, I've kind of just decided not to do this as a show because I don't think 3 passes in a preseason game are really that much worth evaluating, to be honest with you. But let me just say this. Last year, what was the conversation around the Bears offense? Oh, Justin Fields, he's electric as a runner and he throws the ball really well downfield, but he doesn't have enough weapons. This year, you get him weapons. He dumps off a couple of passes that go for big yardage. Oh, he's got negative air yards. I mean, he sucks. You can't have it both ways. Like, now, should the throw to DJ Moore have been on the front hip? Yeah, it was behind him. It wasn't a very good throw. But that's why you go get DJ Moore, right? Like, the whole point of the moves the Bears have made this offseason is you don't need or shouldn't even expect your quarterback to do everything. So let's get more to evaluate. 3 throws in a preseason opener, like, who cares? I don't think it's that consequential. You guys know the motto, FGB. Week 1 is closing in. FGB. FGB. I can't wait. I know some of you guys can't as well. Let's get the FGBs rocking in the comment section. Brian with the 20. Appreciate it. Why would we keep Velus Jones? I understand you don't want to give up on a 3rd-round pick, but I cannot see anyone being comfortable with him returning punts. Does he make the 53? I think for now he's still on the right side of the 53, but I'm with you. I don't trust him as a punt returner. I said this the other day. I'll say it again. I don't care if he catches 10 straight punts the rest of the preseason and has some good returns, we're still going to be nervous as hell when he goes back there the first time against the Packers. Like, and when you feel that way as a fan, you know the staff has concerns. I don't know if it can be rectified as a punt returner. Now, can he have enough value as a kick returner and gadget player on offense? I think that's still possible. But, yeah, the arrow is not pointing up for Velus Jones. Jamin Montague, as of right now, what are positions of need for next offseason? Looking ahead. I would probably still say pass rusher more than anything else. I mean, Yannick Ngakoue is on a 1-year deal. I think in a perfect world he plays well and you give him like a 2-year extension. But as of now, that's not the case. Travis Gibson's in the final year of his deal. He may not even make the team. I hope he does. He played well in the preseason opener. Terell Smith is on a 1-year deal. So I think defensive end is definitely an area of focus, but a lot of that will play out throughout the course of the season to see what the Bears need to do with their roster. All right, guys, appreciate all the questions. Some really good ones today. Enjoyed the mailbag. If you have more questions, you know where to find me, at HGramNFL on Instagram. Same handle on Twitter, at HGramNFL. Always down to chop up the latest Bears conversations, new convos, non-sports stuff. That's where you find me, at HGramNFL. Let's get the FGBs rolling. Let's go. Let's get the FGBs rolling. Kenny says FGB. Markel. We got, let's see here. Hi from Australia. What's up, Anthony? Ron says FGB R2 Road. James, the 4th phase. Sam Laktara. Jason. Donald Lear. John. Busy Womack. Wasim. Jeff Page. Heidi. Get those FGBs rolling in the comments. Keem78, who doesn't like grape Gatorade? Me. That's why I said it. Yeah, I'm just not a grape flavor guy. I don't know. It's just never been my thing. Jarrett Page, Bears need Seth McLaughlin, center from Bama. Yeah, I think center, it's a good point you make. Center could be a spot where you draft fairly high next year. You got Cody Whitehair this year. If they keep Lucas Patrick, those are two Band-Aid options. I don't know if either are long-term. Maybe, if Whitehair plays well, you bring him back on a one-year deal, but he's not like the answer for the next 3 to 5 years. I think that's pretty safe to say. So we'll see. We'll have to wait and see. And I think Whitehair might actually be under contract next year. So if he plays well this year, maybe he's your guy next year. But I'd be shocked if Cody Whitehair's your starting center in 2025. I'll put it that way.
I have a deal to make. We have one more segment to go, Harrison.
Okay.
And before we potentially send this show on loop, if we get to $200 in total super chats,
we're at 160.
By the time we're done with this last segment, I will do a beer bong of my own, or a merbanga.
How about this? We'll race.
Okay, race.
If we reach $200 in super chats, Rolly and I will race. We're $40 away. We got one more segment to go, so that gives you about 10, 15 minutes to get there. If you want us to do a beer bong race, hey, listen, I took Chip down last week. If you want me and Rolly to go mano-y-mano, then if we get to $200, we'll make that happen. So we'll hop into this next segment, but if we get to 200 by the end of it, we will get that race going for you guys. So appreciate everybody for tuning in. We're going to take a look at some joint practice players to watch as the Bears are going to take on the Colts in Indy over the next couple of days. Who's ready for some joint practices? I know I am. My name's Harrison Graham. You're watching Bears Now. Little preview of the next couple of days as the Bears are in Indianapolis to take on the Colts in a couple of joint practices Wednesday and Thursday night. I believe 6 o'clock Eastern both nights, 5 Central Time, they're going to practice. Then, of course, these two teams will face off in the preseason on Saturday in Indianapolis for a preseason game number 2. And don't miss it. We're going to have coverage after each practice. Bears versus Colts practice breakdowns. I'm going to come in a little bit later on Wednesday, do a practice report, and then Thursday we'll either do a second report or just do maybe winners and losers coming out of the 2 joint practices. We'll see. But video after each practice, so subscribe, turn on notifications. We're going to have you covered for all of that here on this show. All right, 5 players to watch on offense and on defense during joint practices. Let's start with Justin Fields, and not that, he has to prove anything in these practices. At the end of the day, it's going to come down to how he plays in games. But I think just from a fan perspective, a media perspective, etc., we want to see more, right? From a selfish standpoint, don't get me wrong. The DJ Moore and Khalil Herbert 50-plus yard touchdowns, yards after catch, that was electric. But let's see Fields drop back and dissect the defense a little and see how he throws the football against a different team. I'm tired of training camp practices, I'll be honest. I want to see them go up against other teams. He only threw 3 times the other day. I don't think that was by design. I don't think Luke Getsy thought that a wide receiver screen to DJ Moore would go for 62 yards and a running back screen to Khalil Herbert would go for 56. You're obviously excited about those, but higher volume, different type of throws. Let's see how it goes, and it should be fun to digest how this offense goes up against the Colts defense. Roschon Johnson at running back. I think the arrow is pointing up for this kid, and he got some first-team reps on Monday's practice. Maybe he gets some reps against the ones in Indianapolis as well. I thought he ran hard against Tennessee. 24-yard run was the best run of the day by either team in that game. He was physical, breaking tackles. Want to see him get more opportunities as a pass catcher as well. And look, there could be a little discussion coming soon of could Roschon Johnson push for a bigger role? Right now he's RB3, but I think his upside as a 3-down back is higher than Deontay Foreman's. I think he's a better pass catcher. I think he's better in pass protection. Foreman's experience coming off a good year, but he's got a lot to gain here, Roschon Johnson does. I think if he goes out there, sets the tone with his physicality and his running style against the Colts, I think that's going to turn some heads. And if he also has a good game on Saturday, that really could go a long way in terms of what his role could be during his rookie campaign. I think we got to mention Velus Jones Jr., right? Not a good start in the preseason opener for him. Muffed the second punt. That was after he let the ball bounce again in both punts. Clock is ticking here for Velus. Now, I do think he looks improved as a receiver. I love him as a kick returner. Like, I actually think he's a top 5 kick returner in the NFL. But you got to be a little bit more. Like, unless you're Devin Hester, a Hall of Fame returner, you need to do more, especially if you can't return punts, which I'm not sure Velus can. I'm not sure you can trust him in that regard. Hester was so dynamic as both the punt and kick returner. It's like you didn't care what else he did. I mean, he could score and change a game every time a team kicked off or punted it. Velus is good as a kick returner, but he's not to that level. I got to see him make some plays this week and especially on Saturday in the game. What's your confidence level in Velus Jones at this point? Scale of 1 to 100, 1 being, or hell, 0 to 100. 0 being no confidence at all, he's screwed. 100 being, you're unbelievably confident for some reason. 42? Like, it's not high. Let me know, what is your confidence level in Velus Jones? Cole Kmet. And let me just preface this by saying I'm not worried about Cole Kmet at all. I think we know what he brings to the table. He's a 3-down tight end. He can block. He can catch. He's a red zone weapon, all of that stuff. It's been a little quiet around him, though, right? Like, he wasn't targeted in the preseason opener. There hasn't been a lot of, like, whoa, he balled out in today's practice reports or anything like that. Now, at the end of the day, he's a tight end. Like, he's not a, like, headline type of player anyway. Like, he's not super flashy. So I don't think there's anything to worry about. But him getting that extension, he's a player that this regime believes in, obviously. So let's see him go out there and make some plays against this Colts defense over the next couple of days of practice. So hopefully we see him do just that. Before we jump to the next player here, BetUS, place to go. And I told you guys before last week's game, I'll tell you again. Preseason games, especially when you get into the later half of them, they can be a little dull at times. Not if you bet on them, though. You got plenty to watch for. Create an account with BetUS today and go bet on this preseason game. Chatsports.com/Bears. Promo code BEARDOWN. Get you a 125% deposit bonus. $100 down, you're getting $125 for free. They'll match that bonus up to $500. It's a great deal. Colts, 3.5-point favorites. Bears, or the total over-under is 40.5. I like the Bears. Matt Eberflus is 4-0 in the preseason as the head coach. Give me the Bears' money line in this one, and I'll go over 2. I could see Justin Fields and Anthony Richardson creating some fireworks in this game. Darnell Wright. I thought the preseason opener was good. I want to see more. Give me some good reports out of practice going up against a different defensive line, and also go out there and play well on Saturday. I think he's off to a good start. Camp has been up and down, but the preseason opener, I think we saw his physicality and athleticism on display. And the Colts have a good D-line. Maybe he gets some opportunities against the DeForest Buckner on that defensive line. So I hope he can hold his own. Based on what we saw against Tennessee, I expect that to be the case. So I think he's in a good position and trending in the right direction. Let's go to the defensive side of the ball here. Players to watch on defense during joint practices. Dominique Robinson, who has had a pretty good camp by all accounts. A little quiet against the Titans. I don't think he did anything wrong per se, but didn't pop like a Terrell Lewis or a Trevis Gibson or a couple others did. Go make some plays. Be a playmaker. All of a sudden, it's kind of a crowded defensive end position with a couple of players emerging out of nowhere. So I want to see Dom Rob make some plays. Javon Dexter Sr., who's had a bit of a up and down camp, but been more good than bad as of late. I did think Zach Pickens outplayed him in the preseason opener, though, but I think he's been improving, and I want to see more of that. I want to see a couple of tweets from reporters say, oh, Javon Dexter just blew up a play. Like, give me some of that, because his power and athleticism is fantastic. Couple things we're looking for. One, lower that pad level. He's playing with a little too high a pad level right now. And two, continue to fire off the ball. It's been a point of emphasis. That was a struggle for him coming out of Florida. Part of it scheme-related, part of it on him. Let's continue to time those snaps better and really get upfield right away, because with his athletic profile, if he can fire off the ball, he can be an absolute game wrecker in this league. Who's the better rookie defensive tackle, or maybe who will have the better rookie season? Is it Javon Dexter? If so, type GD. Is it Zach Pickens, if you think it's him who had a sack against Tennessee, type ZP? Hopefully both are awesome, but I still think Dexter has the better physical profile, so I'm going to type GG. Let's go to the linebacker position. Noah Sewell, who has had a really good camp, and I think has been pushing Jack Sanborn just a little bit. I thought he played well against the Titans in the preseason opener, had 4 tackles, a sack, and a tackle for loss. Carry that over. Make this a tough decision on Matt Eberflus, Alan Williams, and that defensive staff, Dave Bergonzi, whoever, is someone who can potentially start or at least get snaps, right? I think he is someone to certainly watch for this week. Tyreek Stevenson, and I said it the other day, I'll say it again here. I think that outside CB2 job is just about done with Terell Smith being sidelined as of late with an undisclosed injury. But if he can go out there, put together a strong week and another good game, I think that is permanent. He's going to be that second starting outside corner. He brought the physicality. 7 tackles, all solo tackles, by the way, so he's not afraid to hit at all. Had a TFL, had a breakup that was almost a pick 6, jumped a Will Levis out route and couldn't quite squeeze it. His coverage grade per PFF, 71.5. That's above average there as well. On the first play of the game, he got a little lost in coverage, but after that, he responded and recovered really good, I thought. I've mentioned it a couple times, but I think the most impressive play he made, in addition to almost jumping that route, was identifying a wide receiver screen. Right off the snap, he's firing upfield, shedded his blocker, and made the play for a tackle for loss. So I really, really like that. He brings that edge. He brings that energy at corner, and that's what I loved about him coming out of Miami. He plays with the swagger. He's not afraid to play the run game. He's a willing tackler, and he plays physical. And that's why when he struggled at first early on in training camp, I was like, let's see the pads go on. Usually you don't need to say that about a corner, but he's very physical. And I think since the pads have gone on, you've seen that on display. He's really, really performed well. Trevis Gipson here, back to the defensive line. Listen, we almost counted him out, right, with that initial depth chart, him listed as 4th string, but the guy responded. We got to show Trevis Gipson some love. I mean, you look at the PFF grades, and this checks out based on the eye test. Overall, 85, he was excellent. The pass rush was awesome. He was good against the run. Had 8 pressures, a sack, 3 QB hits. Biggest 2 weeks of Trevis Gipson's career with the Bears coming up. I don't think there's any doubt about it because I don't think he's locked up a roster spot just yet. I mean, there's competition with Rasheem Green, Terrell Lewis, obviously Ngakoue and DeMarcus Walker are going to be here, so he's really got to go out there and earn it. But based on what we saw on Saturday, if he repeats that this week in practice and delivers in the next couple of preseason games, he's going to be in a good position to make this team. And if he can bring some of that juice in these joint practices, that would go a long way for him, I think. So which player needs to perform most this week? You could say Trevis Gipson. I'll throw Velus Jones in there too. I think if I had to pick one guy on each side of the ball, Velus Jones on offense, Trevis Gipson on defense. 2 players firmly on the roster bubble, in my opinion, with Trevis Gipson trending up, Velus Jones trending down. They need to have big weeks. Hopefully they're able to do so. All right, that's our joint practices preview. We will be back on Wednesday and Thursday night for recap shows after those practices. Once we get all the reports and nuggets from Indianapolis, we will react immediately. So subscribe and turn on your notifications so you don't miss those videos. Appreciate you guys tuning in to Chicago Bears Now. From Keem, a $2 super chat. Get ready to race. Well, we're at 170 now with Ken sending in a $10 super chat. That one just coming in. Remember, we may have drafted him out of Miami, but he played on the national championship team with Georgia. He's played top competition. Yeah, Tyreek Stevenson has played at Georgia where he got good coaching, and then he excelled at Miami. Things didn't work out for him at Georgia, but you got to think he absorbed some of Kirby Smart's coaching there, and that carried over to making him a day 2 NFL draft prospect. And we're seeing that. He's playing really well, so that's very, very exciting. We told you guys if we got to $200, Rolly and I would race. So we're at 170 right now. I'm going to throw a 2-minute timer up. And this is not one of those where if you send in $2, it extends the time. 2 minutes. If we get to 200, we're racing. If not, we're wrapping this show up. So very simple. We need $30 to race. If not, we'll call it a day here on Chicago Bears Now. But that's the deal. We'll get some shout-outs here. Which player needs to perform most this year? Gipson was never on the bubble. I mean, you're listed as a 4-string defensive end. Like, it's not a great sign. Think about the defensive ends you have. Unique Ngakoue, DeMarcus Walker. They are locks to make this team. Dominique Robinson, who this regime drafted, Gibson was a prior regime guy. He's probably ahead of Gibson in their pecking order. They signed Rasheem Green. Terrell Lewis has had a great camp. Travis Gibson. You're going to keep 6 defensive ends? Gibson is not a lock to make the team. I would put him on the team, but to say he's a lock, that's just not true. He is not a lock to make the team. 1 minute down, Rolly, I think we might dodge a bullet here. We might not have to race after all.
Yeah, them just saving for the big party
Saving
Saturday.
for Saturday, which is totally fine. We're going to have some fun on Saturday. This was a motivational move. Yeah, definitely possible, Anthony. Definitely possible. There's no doubt. Donald says, Velus Jones, you're keeping 6 defensive ends. I mean, maybe. You're cutting back elsewhere then.
So that's a lot of DNs.
That's a lot of ends, man. Most teams carry 4 or 5. Doesn't mean they won't, but where are you scaling back? Linebacker? Safety? You going to go like 3 safeties?
Heidi, that's dope. Says be at the game on Saturday.
We got 30 seconds left. Velus or Vildor? I think Vildor's cooked. And barring injury to someone, like serious injury, I don't think Kendall Vildor makes this team. So, Javon Dexter from Marty K. 10 seconds. Otherwise, we're calling it a day here. Rasheem Green. I agree with Levante. I think Green, like Gibson, is on the bubble. Like, I think it could come down to those 2 guys, and I would give Gibson the edge right now based on how the first preseason game went. All right, well, we're going to send this show on loop. We didn't get to 200. I'll say this. If we cross 200 during the loop, at the end of the loop, Rolly and I will come back and race. But for now, we're going to call it here. Bears Rumors Roundup. We answered your questions, plus joint practices preview. All of that is coming up on loop right now. Today's episode of Chicago Bears Now is sponsored by HexClad. Improve your kitchenware with HexClad, as they got the best pots and pans out there by going to hexclad.com. Use promo code CHAT. That's going to get you 10% off at checkout. My name is Harrison Graham, and Smokin' Jays are back. You guys have been asking for them. So we got a Rumors Roundup episode for you guys here on a Tuesday. Let's go ahead and dive on in. The first rumor on our Smokin' Jay Rumors Roundup, D'Onta Foreman. Could the Bears trade him? I'll go one Smokin' Jay. I'll admit I'm intrigued by this idea, and this one's coming in from Bleacher Report. They dropped an article this morning about one player all 32 NFL teams should put on the trade block before week 1. They named D'Onta Foreman as the Bears candidate, and I think the reason they did that was because Chicago's running back room is crowded. So I'll give it one Smokin' Jay. I think there's a small shred of truth. I could see a scenario where this is a possibility. It's actually pretty interesting when you think about it, because this running back room is solid. You've got Khalil Herbert, who took that 50-plus yard screen play to the house. We know how good of a runner he is in this system. If he's improved enough as a pass catcher and blocker, then you feel good about him as your starter. You got Roschon Johnson, who's been trending up. We're going to talk about him a little bit more later on in the show. I think both Trestan Ebner and Travis Homer have had good camps. So theoretically, you could trade Foreman for a late-round pick if a RB-needy team comes calling, and roll with Herbert, Roschon, and one or both of Ebner and Homer with Blasen game. So I don't think that's going to happen, but I do think it's an interesting idea here. Now, more to discuss on this topic in a moment, but you put your GM cap on. Would you trade D'Onta Foreman? Like, say a 6th-round pick is available for you. You're not going to get a premium pick. Like, you sign him for $3 million. He hasn't even played a game for you. But 6th-round pick for Foreman, type T for trade or K for keep. Let me know what you guys think on this one. Here's Matt Holder from Bleacher Report, who wrote this article. He said the 27-year-old is coming off a career season in which he had over 900 rushing yards and 5 touchdowns in 17 games and in 9 starts for Carolina, which should give him some trade value for his new club, the Chicago Bears. Sure, Chicago just signed the journeyman in the offseason, but that was before it took Roschon Johnson in the 4th round of the NFL draft. Again, I don't think it happens. but it's not the craziest scenario I've ever heard in my entire life. Because I've had the thought recently as we look back at the depth chart, like, if your 1, 2, 3 punch is Herbert, Foreman, and Roschon in whatever order, chances are one of those three guys falls out of favor, right? Like, we don't see a lot of scenarios where teams give equal carries to three guys. You see a lot of 1-2 punches and it's definitely a lot of running back by committee teams, but that's usually not three guys getting 8 to 10 carries or something like that. It's usually like what we saw last year in Chicago. David Montgomery's going to get 10 to 15. Khalil Herbert's going to get 8 to 12. And then, maybe Ebner would check in every once in a while and get a touch. That's kind of what it was. I can't think of a single team in the NFL outside of maybe like the Dolphins sometimes that they go 3 or 4 deep. And the reason they did that last year is because they never found their lead guy. Like, I think Herbert can be close to that. And if not, you've got Foreman who did it last year for Carolina, especially after they traded Christian McCaffrey, and did it really well with 4.5 yards per carry and 5 touchdowns. So it's an interesting thought. I wouldn't completely dismiss the idea, especially if Roschon keeps trending in the right direction. But I think for now, they would likely keep him on this roster. I'll tell you what, though. If the Bears make a trade, whether they trade away a player or trade for a player, we're going to be going live on this channel because that's what we do. We bring you guys the latest Bears news, rumors, injury updates, game previews, watch parties, post-game shows, and certainly when big news drops like a trade or when they sign Yannick Ngakoue and we went live, that's our plan. We go live and interact with all of you and break down the story. So subscribe to the channel. We're closing in on 69,000 subscribers. Very nice. We would greatly, greatly appreciate it. Roschon Johnson, let's stick at the running back position. Is he trending up? Yeah, there's no doubt here. Bear down for Smokin' Jays. Roschon is definitely trending in the right direction for the Chicago Bears. I really like where he's at this point in his rookie training camp. He missed a little bit of time early on in camp, but I think things are heading in the very right direction. Now, before we talk more about Roschon Johnson, it's time to talk about your kitchen. And no, I'm not talking about your roommate's dishes in the sink. Today's sponsor, HexClad, has revolutionized the cookware industry with a hybrid pan that gives you all of the convenience and cleanup of nonstick, the versatility of your grandma's cast iron, and a lifetime warranty just in case you find a way to destroy them. All you got to do is use promo code CHAT at hexclad.com/chat to get 10% off. HexClad truly checks every single box when it comes to picking your cookware. They are metal utensil safe, dishwasher safe, and oven safe up to 500 degrees. And guys, don't just take my word for it. Celebrity chef Gordon Ramsay has signed off on HexClad. Don't believe me? This is a direct quote from Ramsay. He says, "The sear I get with these pans is incredible with absolutely no stick. The temperature control is utter perfection, and the cleanup is effortless. I love using HexClad at home." They're the sexiest pans on the market, too. Like, not only do they deliver in terms of the product, they feel good. They're solid. Like we said, you can throw them in the washing machine, no problem. Real cuisine is not made in the microwave. Don't order food and waste money. Get HexClad and start cooking high-quality meals for a limited time only. Get 10% off at hexclad.com with promo code CHAT. It's hexclad.com, promo code CHAT. Look how solid this thing is, man. I mean, this is just a thing of beauty. It looks great as well. Go check them out, HexClad. That link is in the comments and in the description. Let's talk about Roschon. Oh. Yo, we're back. My mic was muted for a second. We're back. We crossed $200, so Rolly, let's go full screen. Shout out Timothy for saying chug. It happened so quick, we're like, we're not going to let the whole loop play. So Rolly's going to hop on screen here. We're going to race, and then we'll actually sign off here unless you guys want to send more Super Chats, I guess. $50 is another chug, so I guess we could do that. But yeah, it's just not my thing. I didn't want to do ice cold. I hope that's okay. So I'm going pineapple. I got you. You're a watermelon guy, right? So here we go. Someone says, I agree with Angel. He says, I think we have to see a lot more Roschon before we can think about trading Foreman. Doesn't really seem like there's a market. Yeah, like, it's one of those where you're not looking to trade Foreman, but if a team comes calling and you're comfortable with Roschon as your 2, then that scenario could play out. That's why I only gave it one Smoking J. Like, I don't think you're shopping Foreman, and I don't know if Roschon's quite there yet, but I think he could be your RB2 if you wanted/needed him to be. So, here we go. N for Nick, H for Harry. 3, 2, 1, go. I had a moment, not that I would have won. I got dusted. But early on in that, you know how, like, sometimes you get, like, a little bubble or something? I had to slow down, otherwise it was going to. This thing was already, it was a garden hose. Yeah. I mean, you had to go. It was coming out. The top, yeah. I like having those on there because with the top on, you can lock it. You don't have to worry. With no top, sometimes it's just gonna come. It's just gonna come. It's just gonna come, huh? All right. Well, good stuff. Appreciate the super chats today. Appreciate everybody tuning in. We're gonna go ahead and sign off on today's show. Remember, programming note: tomorrow I'll have we'll put out that we'll have video in the morning. And we will have post-practice 1 against the Colts video breakdown, kind of the top news and notes coming out of that practice. So stay tuned for that tomorrow night. 5 o'clock Central practice. Maybe that video is 6:37. I'm not sure yet. So be on the lookout for that. So lots of good stuff to come. Bear down. We'll see you soon.